Welcome to Literary Libations with Librarians, and this time we are sharing our Bodacious beach reads. That's right, it's going to be a good time. If you want to get your hands on any of the titles as we share them, there are several ways to go about doing that. The first is to contact your local branch of the Monroe County Library System and speak to the staff there, and they'll be more than happy to assist you. The next way is to do it yourself by going to our online catalog, and that web address is on your screen now. And that will allow you to request any physical versions, hardcovers and paperbacks, audiobooks on CD. And finally, some of the titles that we talk about will be available on one of our two digital platforms. The first you may hear referred to as either Overdrive or Libby. Libby is the app for Overdrive. And Overdrive offers downloadable ebooks and audiobooks and also magazines. And the second platform for digital items is Hoopla. And Hoopla offers downloadable ebooks, audiobooks, and also movies, music, and graphic novels. And the great thing on Hoopla is if you see any of the items with that little lightning bolt in the corner, that means that those are ready to check out immediately, and that several people, like as many people in Monroe County as want it, can have the same item checked out at the same time. So there's never a wait for those lightning bolt items. I am Jennifer Graneski, and I am the community librarian at the Dundee branch. And our intro question for this week is, when is the last time that you went to a beach? Or, you know, a lakefront area, something like that. So I had to think about this because I am not a naturally beachy person. And the last time I think I went to any place like that would have been back in March or April of last year. When the shutdown was happening, my son and I were trying to find things to do that were outdoors. And so we started exploring local parks, and we went to, I believe it's Hayes State Park on Wampler Lake over, I'm doing this, west of where I live. And we went over there, and, it was March or April. It wasn't terribly warm. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure there was like a flock of geese, and both Tony and I were not, real sure of the geese or how attacky the geese were going to be feeling that day. So we stayed on the portion of the beach where the geese were not. We were literally the only people there because at that time, it seems like this was more of a boat launch area, and there's a campground, and the campground was closed at this time. And boats at this time, you weren't supposed to be doing anything. You could just walk around. So he and I were the only ones there. And so mostly we just walked around, and that was pretty exciting. So we didn't hang out on the beach. We didn't get a blanket out, didn't have a drink like in the back picture behind me. We just looked at nature and climbed a few hills. And that's the last time I remember being near anything that I guess I would consider sort of beachy. So there you go. Also with us this week, we have Ashley Lyford, who is the community librarian at the Summerfield Petersburg Branch Library. And when's the last time you headed to the beach, Ashley?
I actually was at the beach last month. A couple of friends and I went to Traverse City for like 3 days. And so we hung out on the beach then. It wasn't actually super warm, so we didn't do anything, but we just, sat on the beach and enjoyed it for a little while.
Nice. Thanks, Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
Also with us this week is Isabella Arnold, a processor at our administrative building. And when's the last time you went to the beach, Isabella?
Well, I know I walked along the Luna Pier Beach area last summer. I know I walked that. And the last time that I've been on a beach, I did the beach thing, honestly was 2015. I know I went to Coney Island with a friend that summer, and we hung out on the beach and walked around, and remember there was a guy there with this giant iguana that went down his back, and it was really creepy but really interesting to look at. I'm not a beach person, so I don't like sunburns, not my thing. So that was the last time I interacted at a beach, but we did walk along the Luna Pier, And I don't know if we walked in the sand. I doubt it because we had a stroller with us. So I looked at it last year.
There you go. Nice. Thank you, Isabella. And finally with us this week is Jen McCarty, a reference librarian at our Ellis branch. When's the last time you headed to the beach, Jen?
I think the last time I was actually on a beach. Last year, a cousin of mine lives in South Carolina, and her son was doing the Flat Stanley thing where they had, send Flat Stanleys out. And so they sent me a Flat Stanley, and Charlie was most interested in getting a picture of snow and the lake. So I combined the two. It was like February. And so we actually went out to Sterling State Park and went onto the beach of Lake Erie, and there was snow and ice. And I got a little picture of Flat Stanley in the icy sand. And the South Carolinian kids were pretty impressed by the snowy,
by our snowy beach. Nice.
Exactly. I think the last time I was on a beach to enjoy, 3 years ago, we visited some family in Maine and visited a beach there, and all the adults were sensible, and we were like, oh, this is the cold Atlantic Ocean, and no thank you, and walked and just sort of chilled, and all the kids were like, I want to swim, and it was frigid, and they loved it, and it was great. So
yay, kids.
Those are my cold weather beachy stories.
There you go. Nice. Well, that's what you get in Michigan for 9 months out of the year. So all right, thanks everybody. And now we're going to start sharing our beach reads, and let's have Ashley kick us off.
Sure. So the first book I'll talk about is called Things You Save in a Fire by Catherine Center, and my book club actually just finished reading this one. So the main character's name is Cassie, and she is a firefighter. The book starts, and she is receiving an award for I don't know, for something, I can't remember. She's receiving an award, and the mayor is supposed to present it to her, but she, when it's her turn, it's not the mayor that comes out on stage, it's somebody else. Now, you don't know what the relationship with this person is, you just know that it's bad because she instantly starts panicking. So she's like, what do I do? What do I do? Do I just leave? Do I bail? Do I just, what do I do? She decides she needs to go out there and get her award. She can do it. She can be, an adult and do it. But she gets up there and he does something a little bit inappropriate and she punches him. Kind of pretty bad, on stage in front of many people. So after that, she, her career is kind of in question, even though she loves it. She's also dodging phone calls from her mom, who she clearly doesn't have a good relationship with, as she calls both of her parents by their first name. So early, this is not giving anything away, but you find out that her mom left her dad on her 16th birthday. And so there's a lot of hard feelings about that. She only talks to her maybe once a year, whatever. But her mom, she finally answers the phone and her mom is asking her to come and live with her for a year. Now, I think Cassie lived in Texas and her mom lived somewhere like Maine. So, and she's 26 years old now. So she would be giving up her career, she'd be moving away from all her friends, all of that to go live with her mom, who she doesn't have a good relationship with. Well, turns out she doesn't get a choice because she either has to apologize to the man she assaulted, which she refuses to do, or she loses her job. So instead of losing her job, she asks if she can get a transfer to a firehouse near her mom's house. And so that works out. She ends up going, and the story kind of goes from there. She has to, at this new firehouse, she is the only woman. She is also the first woman firefighter that this firehouse has had. It's all very old school, buddy, men. There's nowhere for her to sleep, so they empty out a closet. It's a much more tough environment as far as work than she's ever walked into. And the whole time she's trying to basically avoid her mom. I mean, she's living there, but she doesn't want to get close to her mom at all. And the story goes from there. It actually was a super fast read. The chapters are really short, which I like because I'll keep reading that way. If there's long chapters, I feel like I can't commit, but 2 or 3 pages, got it. I read this book in like 24 hours at most. So it's really good, really quick. I would recommend it, definitely. The other book I want to talk about is called The Guncle by Stephen Rowley. And let me just tell you, I am so excited about this book. I loved it so much. I just attended a virtual training, and this book is one of the things that they talked about, so I had to have it right away. And I, again, read this book in like 2 days. Now, you guys might not know this, but for me, I don't really read all that often anymore. I know, crazy, but I just struggle to focus. So for me to get through a book so quickly is impressive. So this book is told from, the main character's name is Patrick, from his perspective, and it starts out his best friend, who he hasn't seen as often as he used to. She married his brother, and he ended up moving away. Patrick moved he moved to Hollywood. He's an actor, but he's not acting anymore. He's kind of on hiatus, and he just wants to live his life alone in peace. He stays at his house. He doesn't do much, but his sister-in-law, also best friend, passes away. So he has to go back home and go to the funeral. And while he's at the funeral, his brother tells him that he actually has an addiction, and his kids now have lost their mother, and they can't have a father with an addiction. So he is admitting himself into rehab, and he wants Patrick to take the kids, Maisie and it's Maisie and Grant. So they're young, like maybe like 6 and 10 or so ish. And Patrick freaks out. He doesn't have children. He's hardly fit to take care of himself, let alone, 2 children. But he comes around to the idea and takes them with him. And so this story is just like their life living in Hollywood, just for a couple of months. It was just for the summer. The rehab program that the dad was entering was just a 3-month program. And it actually was only about like half an hour or an hour away from Patrick's house. So the dad is still close to the kids. Like, he can't see them, but physical proximity is nice. So the story is all about this clueless uncle, and these 2 kids. Now, it's called The Guncle because Patrick is gay. So they come up with the name that they call him is Gup, and it's Patrick, or Gay Uncle Patrick for short. And it is so cute. I loved it so much. It was funny and like charming. I just loved it so much. I couldn't get enough of it.
That sounds super cute.
Mm-hmm.
Nice quick read. Thank you, Ashley.
You're welcome.
And let's have Isabella share her beach reads next.
I recognize the irony that I am not a beach person, but the book I'm gonna talk about is beach read. So this title came out last May, and when I processed it, I was like, that cover is super cute. I 100% judge books by their cover, 100%. And I thought it looked really cute, so I put a hold on it. And then also, to know me is to know that I will place a hold, get the item, renew, return, recheck out, renew, return, recheck out, renew. And so this probably was at my house for like 6 months before I finally got to read it. And I think that was only because there was a hold on it. And it's like, oh no, I must read it now, otherwise I'll never get it back. That's not how the library works, but clearly I thought that in that moment. Beach read, super cute, easy read, rom-com. It's about 2 authors that are completely different. Augustus Everett is this great American novel writer where mostly all of his characters die. And then January Andrews is this rom-com chick lit author who her novels are full of meet cutes where like people meet in cute situations. And they're both, the only thing that is similar about them is they are neighbors in this small beach town, and both stuck in a rut writing their next great novel. So stuff happens. It's cute. It's chick lit. And then they make a bet and a competition over who can finish their book first, but they swap genres. So January now has to write this, next great American thriller, and Augustus Everett has to write a rom-com. And so they help each other out by, he takes her to cult following interview things. She takes him to a carnival and just cute stuff to show him what meet cutes are. And so it's just about them working on their books and just a little bit falling in love along the way. Super cute, pretty fast read. It really was enjoyable, and I don't read a lot of fiction, and I thought it was cute. So I would take that if I was going to walk along the pier again. And my other book is Rachel Hollis. Didn't see that coming. I am a huge Rachel Hollis fangirl. I loved all of her books. I think she has 3 of them out now, and I've listened to all of them through Hoopla, which I guess I listened to it through Overdrive. And I loved all of them. I feel like I could honestly blare her through a loudspeaker at my house 24/7 and feel like I'm only a better person because of it. And this book is all about overcoming seasons of grief and overcoming life's challenges. And I feel like Rachel Hollis, out of all the list of terrible things that can happen to a person in their life, she ticks the most boxes. She just has so many terrible things just have happened to her, in general. I feel bad sometimes for her. I'm that stings that also happened to you. And so she just writes about, you can't let the terrible thing that happened to you become the root of your person, and let that become who you are. And so it's just a lot about, overcoming tough situations. And one chapter that really stuck with me is about how, when you are experiencing grief as a parent, and how I don't have the quote in front of me, but she's it is your job as the adult to not let your children in on this. And it's your job to not, have them pulling you through your grief. You are in charge of getting your act together, so that your children can have the blissful, magical, happy childhood they deserve. And I hadn't really ever thought about that. I mean, my son's one. I don't think about that type of stuff yet. But I thought that was just really fascinating, that she was just pretty much adults, pull yourself together. Even if terrible things happen, you can't just fall to pieces. Just because she had experienced that. She talks about it over a lot of her books, but her brother had committed suicide when he was a teenager. And after that happened, her parents they crumbled, and they couldn't take care of her and her other siblings. And so she talks a lot about that process of what you do when you're a teenager and neither of your parents want to host Christmas, where you go because they can't help themselves. So I thought that was just really an interesting look at how grief affects people, and also how your grief affects other people. So yeah, I think her book should be recommended reading, just because it really, I feel like it makes you understand yourself, but also understand others a little bit better. So yeah, I recommend her, love her. I'll take her to the beach any day.
Thank you, Isabella. And if we see somebody walking down the Luna Beach Pier holding Rachel Hollis, it's probably Isabella.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't even live in Luna Pier. I'm not near there. It just was a random drive. We drove a lot during the shutdown. So what corner of Monroe have we not seen? So yeah, but no, you won't see me holding her book because I only listen to them.
Oh, okay. Well, if you got the earbuds on.
If I have earbuds in, it's probably Rachel Hollis yelling at me to get my ass together.
Thank you, Isabella. And let's have Jen share her beach reads.
Okay, I'm kind of going to talk about both of my books at the same time because they're part of the same series. If you are a longtime Literary Libations with Librarians listener, that was a lot of L's. I actually talked about book 1 last year when we did beach reads. So the series that I want to talk about is the Little Bridge Island series by Meg Cabot. And these are books that are all set on Little Bridge Island, which is an island in the Florida Keys. So it's a series, but they're standalone books. You don't have to read them all. The first book is No Judgments. The second book is No Offense, and the upcoming third book is No Words. So, like I said, they're all set on an island, Little Bridge Island in the Florida Keys. And the second book, No Offense, is super, super cute. It is a librarian, the new children's librarian at the Little Bridge Island Public Library. And she's just gotten this job and it's her dream job and she's really, really happy. And then one day she's at work and she's story time and it's chaotic and it's crazy and she goes into the bathroom and there's a baby. Someone has left a baby in the bathroom. So she calls the police and the sheriff shows up and of course he's handsome, but he's super no nonsense and like, oh, and she's like, can he even solve crimes? And then they don't really get along at first, but of course, like she wants to help with the investigation and he kind of thinks the new children's librarian is hot and why hasn't he seen her around before? It's just super cute. It's sort of the mystery of what happened to this baby and then, the mother, who is the mother, like what happened with, this baby being left in the library. And, they of course don't get along necessarily at first. They both want to solve this mystery and he wants to solve it because it's her job and she wants to solve it because they left it in my library. There are so many little things that are like love letters to libraries, which I enjoyed. Just an adorable, super cute, fast, quick read set in this beautiful place that I want to visit. The second book is called No Words, and it's actually not out yet. I'm cheating a little bit with this one. I was able to read an arc of this book, which is an advanced reader copy from NetGalley, which is super awesome that I was able to do that. It doesn't come out in September. So unfortunately, like if you want to read it, on a beach, you're going to have to read it in the fall or go someplace fabulous and take it with you because it'd be perfect for that. Kind of laughed when Isabella was explaining her book because it sounds kind of similar. So No Words is 2 authors who don't get along. They're completely different. The main character, her name is Jo, and she writes the Kitty Cat series, which is a teenage cat dealing with all of, teenage cat things. It's more like a kid's book. And her sort of arch nemesis in the publishing world is Will Price. And he's fancy and British, and he writes these epic, grand books where everyone dies and they're tragic, and he's literature. And you find out right away that a year previously at a convention, he has done something or said something really, really kind of rude about Jo's work and about kids' literature, so she hates him. So Jo gets invited to the Little Bridge Public Library's first annual literature event. They're going to have like this bookathon. And she has heard that Will Price now lives on Little Bridge Island, and she says, I am not interested in going if Will is going to be there. Everyone assures her, no, Will is out of town. He's, off on a film set. They're making one of his books into a movie. Will Price will not be there. So she agrees to go to this event because she's having writer's block and she hasn't finished her latest book and she needs the money that they're going to give her. And of course she shows up when Will Price is there. And I mean, you can totally see where this is going. They hate each other, or do they? And some sparks fly, and it's just so cute. Like, these are both just like super fast, light, fun, a little bit romancy, definitely some meet cute moments, but they're just fun characters in this really cool setting that I want to visit Little Bridge because it sounds like a very, very cool place to hang out. Yeah, any of the books in this series are fantastic. I love Meg Cabot. They're wonderful. And definitely, if you are interested in No Words, we do have it in our system, so you can request it right now. So when it does come out in September, you can get your hands on it really quickly.
Nice. Thanks, Jen. Now I just have to ask, I don't know if you had said this already, but is Little Bridge Island real, or did she just completely made it up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Meg Cabot actually does live in the Florida Keys. She lives, I think, on Key West though. So she's kind of, you know, made up this other little island that's there. It's not a real place, sadly.
All right, well, fine. Have to find some other island. Thank you, Jen. And my beach reads, my first one is kind of an unusual one for me. I don't tend to do a lot of the rom-com lit stuff, but I couldn't resist this one when I first saw it in the marketing. I do need to thank NetGalley and Disney Hyperion because I did get this as an advanced reader's digital copy. It is being released August 3rd, though, and you can get your name on the list already in the Monroe County Library System catalog. So if it sounds good to you after I start talking about it, you can get on the list right away, and it'll only be a couple of weeks to wait. So If the Shoe Fits is by Julie Murphy, and it is the first book in a new series that Disney Hyperion is putting out called Meant to Be. And all of the books in these series are going to be based on Disney fairy tales. And I want to emphasize the Disney portion of this because this is not the Grimm's fairy tale versions. It is very much based on the Disney animated versions. So be aware of that. You know, if you're a fairy tale purist, this is not for you. So it is a retelling of some of those tales. The first one is Cinderella, if you couldn't guess by the cover. And our main character, Cindy, is a recent fashion school graduate who really loves shoes. Now, I am not a shoe person. Like, I pretty much can wear the same pair of shoes. I like black shoes. It kind of goes with everything. But the shoes that she describes in this book are so fantastic and amazing sounding. I'm like, well, I just want to see the shoes. I can't wear those shoes, but I would like to see somebody else wear these shoes. So if you like shoes, it's got a lot of shoes in there. And then for me, apart from being Disney based, which is a selling point for me, the second thing is it's reality TV based once again. And I can't resist that. I'm like, oh, reality TV and a fiction book, gonna pick it up. So Disney and reality TV together, couldn't resist. So things being what they are through ways and means, Cindy ends up on a very Bachelor-like reality TV show. And she's unusual to be on this show because she is not a size 0 or a size 2. She is a curvy, vivacious, plus-size woman who is proud of who she is and is going to do what she wants to do, but still is a little intimidated being on this show and breaking that barrier. If you watch reality TV, that is what it is. Like, I don't think there's literally ever been anybody possibly above like a size 6 maybe, as a woman. So she's on there and things being what they are, you know, she meets the Bachelor, things happen, there are complications. It's a rom-com, it's adorable, it's fun, it's frothy, it's perfect if you're gonna be a beach person and want to read at the beach or you just want to read outside. I read it, it's a very quick read, and there are all sorts of cute little references to the Disney Cinderella movie, the little Easter eggs dropped in here and there. If you haven't watched the movie in forever, it's not going to matter that you haven't. But if you have, because you have kids or you just love Disney movies and Disney Plus is your thing, then pick this up. It's really fun. It's very enjoyable. It's not going to change your life. But if you just want a momentary time of happiness and some wish fulfillment, pick up Julie Murphy's If the Shoe Fits. Now, sort of, I won't say on the opposite end of the spectrum, but slightly less frothy is the other book that I chose, which we are actually going to be discussing at our book club in a couple of weeks. And it is called Molokai, and it is written by Alan Brenner. And I want to also let you know who the narrator is because I did the audiobook for this one. And the narrator is Anne Noelani Miyamoto. And as an audiobook, this was incredible. Particularly as somebody who is not very familiar with Hawaiian culture. I've never been to Hawaii. Having somebody there to get me through some of that language pronunciation barrier that sometimes when you're reading, like you're pronouncing it in your head, however you think it's supposed to be pronounced, but you don't know. It was fabulous listening to a native speaker say all of the names of the places and the names of the people. And I did not know anything about the history of Molokai. Probably didn't even know it was a Hawaiian island before I picked this up, although I might have guessed from the book's cover. What I did not know is that it was used as a place to quarantine people with leprosy back in the late 1800s through the early 1900s. What? First of all, I kind of guess I figured that, leprosy was one, a thing that happened during biblical times, and two, Mother Teresa had taken care of everybody who had it. I don't know. I get weird ideas in my head. Like, I know that it's out there. I did not know necessarily that it happened in first world countries, which shows my privilege, and I admit that fully. And I certainly didn't know that it hit the Hawaiian people so hard. They were particularly susceptible to it. And in order to try and stop it, because they didn't know how it was being transferred from person to person, they quarantined anybody that they found out had it and sent them to Molokai. And that included children. And so this book follows the life of Rachel, who ends up on Molokai when she is just 8 years old. And then it follows her entire life from, I want to say it's like the 1890s through into like the 1960s. And it's so fascinating. It's a great listen. You really start to care about her. You care about her family and her friends that are there on this island with her, what their life was like living there. And now the Kalaupapa is a National Historical Park. So they did keep some of the buildings from that time when it was a quarantine and a hospital and things like that. It was just fascinating. The author does a very nice author's note at the end to let you know, hey, these are the things that are, yeah, this happened, and here's where I took some artistic license, and it might not be historically factual. So if you're gonna be on a beach for a long time and you really want something to dig into, this is a fabulous book. There does happen to be a sequel. I have not started that one yet. But just so interesting. And I'm always amazed pretty much anytime I pick up historical fiction or nonfiction and go, how did I not know that that happened? How did I just completely miss this whole part of history? And again, probably because of the privilege that I have, that I didn't have to think about it until it happened to fall in front of me. But it's a really good book. It's got humor. It's got, of course, with what she's dealing with, it's got a lot of hard things in there too, but worth picking up. And I'm looking forward to our book club conversation about it as well. So those are my two suggested beach reads. Thank you to all of you for sharing your beach reads with us. And thank you to those of you who listen. And we will be back in a couple of weeks to talk about more great books. Thanks. Bye.